computer. There you go. So I need to pop this thing up. Good morning, guys. Welcome to this Monday, October 30th. It is Columbus Day. Markets are open, and we are looking at after Friday's crazy. After Friday's craziness, I mean, this is the overnight has been interesting. It did pop a little bit to the upside. It's been holding on, and it's hard to say which side this is going to go on. To be honest with you, it's going to be really hard. We'll just have to see how these things shake out throughout the day. But I mean, you can see here, I mean, this is our F1. You can see we started up here at the 6800s, starting Friday morning. Everything was looking dandy, and then the Chinese are came out with well, they had already done it, but Trump responded to the Chinese export controls stuff, which started coming out. And with a 100% tariff threat, and when that started, when the news started coming out, the whole thing has absolutely went just like there was like a big piece of lead dropped in the water. It just sank right there. It took out pretty much every levels we had all the way down here to that 65.40 level, and then late in the session, I mean, you saw it if you see. I cannot going to scroll down there, but late in the session, the 100% number came out, and then you could see it just dropped from sitting here around this in the 6600 low volume area, it just dropped another 100 points to the downside in a matter of minutes. It was crazy, absolutely nuts. But that's what happens. That's news coming out, breaking news can always happen, and that's why you always have to be protecting your positions so that you don't get caught in a move like that without having protection or getting knocked out early. Anyway, so the reopened, they gapped up pretty good, and they have been holding here around about the 6680 to 69 or 6700, going back and forth right in that the lower volume node here, and trading around that. And I think it's just in a holding pattern right now. It's a totally freakish market waiting for, is this going to escalate, or is this going to it's going to be calm down a bit? I think from what I understand, the response to the Chinese export control is pretty strong. So it's if that's a miscalculation on their part, who knows? We'll just have to see how it shakes out, but it can certainly escalate, and it can certainly get calmed down pretty quick. They back off and Trump backs off and everything is back on again. I think the market just snaps right back up again. But it just tells you how sensitive everything is for until that the relationship gets sorted out. But anyway, so at this point, I'm going to start off a range bound, and I'm going to start off with a bias to the downside. I think that's the way to go about this right now. So I would favor the short side until I see everything stabilize, and if they can hold and trade in this range, lower range, the 66 or 6700 range, or between 66 60 and 6700, so this volume range, they can hold there. I'm gonna stay range bound and wait for see how things shake out. But we are in a government shutdown. We have those things hanging on us. We have this Chinese spat going on. They had a big piece of good news though. The remaining hostages in the Middle East got released, and that it's a big celebration going on around that this morning. So that's a piece of good news. Nothing's going to drive the markets though, but it's a piece of good news. It may change oil prices now when that deal looks like it's at least starting to come together. So maybe oil is going to get a little bit impacted on that one, but so that'd be good news there. But I would start off range bound. I would start off favoring the short side, but keeping my mind open because if it's some good news comes out, the market can take off to the upside like a rocket. And if it escalates or something more hostile stuff gets said, I think they can take off to the downside pretty easily. So it is right there. And if you dabble in cryptos, you should you should have watched that crypto market crash at like at 6, 7 p.m. Eastern on Friday. That was something. Oh no, it was maybe what was it? Maybe 5, 6, something like that, Eastern. That was something. So the crypto market absolutely tanked, and that was a lot of leverage positions that got unwound in that market, but that was something. Anyway, so that's how we get started. So initially looking for short setups against that 66.85. 66.95, 67.05s for rotations down. If they start trading above that now 67.05s, I may start thinking about the retracement trade to the upside, see if they can head up to that 67.40s. And if they start taking this lower, I'm going to look to buy against the 66, 65s, 66.50s, 66.30s. A bit of caution on those, but still potential buying opportunities. So that's the way I'm going to get started this morning. And that's going to watch it very carefully. To start taking out that 66.50s, I would start thinking short out of the market below the low at 66.30 for sure. But I think already below the London low here, you probably have a good sense that they're going to try to take this lower. So I would just stay on the short side then. And if they for some reason start taking out these upper areas, the 67.05s, I would start thinking a retracement trade to reverse retest that 67.30 level. So that's pretty much what it is. I would expect a pretty volatile day, and I would look for potential stuff going on in the. I would be looking for. Um, uh, it's just slipped my mind. Looking for opportunities to. Uh, Sorry, I got sidetracked there on that one. So basically looking for see if the market's going to try to take this higher or if they're going to try to take it lower. So that's kind of the dynamic. And look for headlines and anything out there which potentially could set the market off. I would expect a pretty volatile day. So that's a lot of volume, most likely a lot of volatility, a lot of snapbacks. So I will be looking for that stuff and try to see past that to see if there is any kind of directional move forming or not. All right. So that's how we get started on the ES. Looking to sell strength up to that 67.05s. Look to buy weakness down to 66.50s and a bit of caution given the potential volatility we can expect this morning. All right, and now the margins are up as well. So until they drop those, I think the AMP at least is at 25% margin. So let's be aware that margin is not the normal day trading stuff right now. Looking at and by the way, I also blow up a screen here. One of my screens, I only have 3 out of my 4 screens, so I had to move stuff around a little bit. So it's going to be a little bit challenged here this morning. Bond market. That's kind of holding in a range. They popped pretty good on Friday. They are so far holding the highs, holding up to the upper levels. They haven't blown through 118, so they're still technically us trading in that lower range again. So if I get my capital flow for the bonds, that is pretty much still trading in this range, but it did run up to that upper level, backed off a little bit. So bond market is not reacting with the as panically as the stock market is. So it gets you a little bit of relief. There's a little bit of flight to safety going on for sure, but they're pretty much holding. So I would start off range bound on the bond market as well, would favor the long side and look to buy get the 24s and the 18s, 17, 18s for rotations up. Below 17, 18s, I would go back range bound and that's traded as a range bound market. So that's how we get started on the bonds. Fairly straightforward. The fact that the bond market didn't react more violently is a pretty good sign. Nasdaq though, oh my God, Nasdaq is freaking ugly. That thing took off like a rocket to the downside. And I had to go find my F1 to see any kind of perspective on that guy. So I had to kind of show my F1 screen onto the same as I have my oil and gold stuff on. It's pretty crowded. But you see Nasdaq, the gap closed. They ran down to this gap here, 24, 150. Stalled there, bounced on that one. Gapped up pretty good. Opened at 24.5 and they're trading up against this area right now, the 24.8. So back in that lower area. And so they backed off this whole move to the downside. So this move we had up here, this whole thing is being reversed. We are trading in this middle range right now. And the same thing there as the ES. Expect a pretty volatile day. Hard to say if it's going to go higher or lower. It just depends on the news coming out. If the looks like it's coming down, I think we can see a good in the retracement to the upside. If not, we can start a little bit of a correction here. So anything is possible. I would favor the short side to get started until I see some positive news come out. So looking for shorts against that 24 850s and the 930s for rotations down. Above 930s, look for a potential retracement trade to the upside. See if they can run it up here and reverse retest 25,000. That would be the reverse retest area to pay attention to. And on the way down, looking to buy against that 820s, trading there now, 780s, 730s for rotations up. I would give it a little bit lower. I would give it also the 650s here before I really start leaning in on the short side. But if you start taking out that London low at the 730, it could be a nice short trade starting off there to the downside. But it could be pretty volatile. So I would just sit on my hands for a little bit today and kind of see how things shake out before I start re-engaging it and see how this is going to go. But you can get in on great trades, but you can also get absolutely chopped up today. So expect volatility and keep your eyes peeled on the headlines. So right now, I think that Chinese situation is the big thing out there, and the government shutdown secondary really. It's but the Chinese posturing back and forth is what the market is going to pay attention to. All right, so that's how you get started on the Nasdaq. Now, looking at oil and gold, and here you can see how what kind of mess I'm dealing with on this one. So this is my oil and gold screen. I have everything on it. Right? Everything is on this screen. So starting off with say oil. You can show this guy. So oil backed off below that low, below the 60s, 61s. So far they have turned up a little bit in the overnight. Has not quite gotten up above that 60 level yet. So as I would say to look for short setups against that 60 and the 60 50s, maybe up to the 60 75s. So looking for short setups against these areas, starting off with a bias to the downside. I think the oil has a pretty good chance of going lower now. I think this could be a good catalyst. If the Middle East calms down, the risk premium on oil is going to go away, and it's going to be it could be a good repricing of oil to the downside. So looking for short setups, looking to sell strength against the 60, 60, 40 to 50, and 60, 75 for rotations down. And if they start heading lower now below that 59.50, yes, taking out the support there, I would be looking for a short, see if they can take it lower. Buying against that 59, 58, 75, those are the two levels I would look for buying opportunities, but not super aggressively. So leaning towards the short side on oil, but these two could potentially hold the market, the 59 and the 59.75, or 59 and the 58.75s, right? So that's oil. As we get started on that guy, that's reasonably straightforward. That's a good reason that oil will be trading lower. And then finally, gold. It's not gold. There you got gold. All right, so gold, they popped pretty good as well on this news, and they've been trading higher. They're at the 4,100 level. So global uncertainty, gold, flight to safety for gold. That someone is buying gold. I believe the Chinese are buying a lot of gold as well, rolling out the U.S. bonds into for gold, and that's probably a part of their strategic plan to try to dominate the surroundings and the rest of the world, right? I happen to believe that the this Chinese export control thing that came that that probably was a big miscalculation if they thought that's going to back anything off or change any dynamics. So it just ticked everyone off, I think, and just set the stage for a big shot for a big face off, I should say. And if they end up getting, if November comes and we have 100% additional tariffs on China, that means that we shut down the Chinese economy because they can't export anything here at 100% tariff on top of what they have. And that would mean that they're going to have some civil unrest going on there. So it could, who knows how this is going to develop. Just taking a step back and just kind of observing that situation for now. But we got up to November 1st, at least for now, they're signaling a couple of weeks before they decide actually to pull the trigger on that. So gold traded from the long side of the market, look to buy weakness. If they start taking out that London low at the 85s, we could see a nice retracement trade. I don't think it's in the cards right now per se. I think the if the good news comes out on the in the Chinese situation that we probably could see a nice retracement happening at that point. But as long as everything is up in the air, I don't think gold is going to go anywhere. It's going to hold, potentially take this higher. So I would trade it from the long side, look to buy weakness at the 85s, at the 80s. I think below 80s, that's where you have your confirmation that they are retracing. So, and that would be basically on good news that the Chinese backing off or something is happening there where they can back off and save face or whatever they need to do. Uh, we will see. And I'm not going to be very aggressive on a short chart on gold. I'm going to kind of watch that thing very carefully, but I'm not going to be super aggressive on the short chart on gold. You can see how it's starting to take off already. So, all right, so that's gold. Trade from the long side of the market and trade oil from the short side. Let's be aware if for a pretty volatile day. Get ready for that and trade it accordingly. Alrighty, guys, we'll wrap it there. So no news to this. I usually start with news, but there's not really any news either coming out. So everything is kind of delayed and on hold until the government shutdown kind of lets up. Maybe we'll find out how that works out here shortly as well. All right, guys. See you back at 11:30 for the next update. Later.